Hello, and welcome to the Television Enthusiast or TV Enthusiast discussion of Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 9, A Dance with Dragons, I believe was the title.
Yep.
So, or The Dance of Dragons. Okay. So,
Which was also the title of the last book, A Dance with Dragons.
Yep.
That have come out.
Yep, and the next book is coming out next year, The Winds of Winter, I believe. We're already starting to see The Winds of Winter. We saw that last week.
Yeah, we saw that last week. So we are ahead of the books now. So we've already seen The Winds of Winter, and that book hasn't been written.
Okay, so let's talk about the episode then.
Question I have for you, even though I'm looking at the notes right now, can you still see me?
The title card is over your eyes.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah. If you're leaning forward, I guess it works.
Okay, I just gotta lean forward and sit up straight.
I thought you were making a political statement.
Yes. Okay, maybe if I tilt... Okay, I just tilt the webcam down a little bit. That fixed it.
Yeah, that works well.
Okay. Yes,
so let's start out in Bravos.
Bravos!
Arya ran into somebody that is on her list.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Meryn Trant.
Who turned out to be a giant pedophile.
Yeah. Do you remember what he did that got him on Arya's list?
I totally forgot.
He is at least to Arya's perspective. There's other reasons why he deserves to be on her list, but from Arya's perspective, the one she knows about is he's the one that was implied to have killed her swordmaster, Syrio Farrell.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's
so when all those King's Guards came for them, and he covered for her, he was the one leading them.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that's why she dropped what she was doing to follow him.
Yeah. He's one of the main targets on her list. So, in addition to that, he was the designated Sansa beater. When Joffrey was like, hit her now or something, he was the guy that would hit her.
Okay.
So,
and he's
if Arya knew about that side, it would be more reason to have him on the list, but she doesn't know about that.
She doesn't know about that, no. And he is the one who is escorting the Tyrell family member to Bravos.
Tyrell, yes.
Yes, to visit the Iron Bank and presumably have something horrible happen to him too.
I imagine they're gonna get through the diplomacy and then he's supposed to kill him or something.
Something like that. That's what I'm guessing.
But it's interesting because Mace Tyrell is just so oblivious to what other people think about him. And he's just sitting there singing away. And
he's oblivious to like everything. It's crazy. Yeah, he's just totally clueless. And Arya follows this guy into this whorehouse, and they're putting some gorgeous women in front of this guy. It's like some drop dead knockouts in front of this guy. He's just like too old. And then that's when you get that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you're like, oh god, this guy's.
Did you notice that the one they ended up accepting looked a lot like Sansa?
Oh yeah, I guess maybe that's. I don't know if that was intentional.
Yeah, it could just be like,
just a coincidence. Because like casting, because I don't know if that's what they were going for. I think they were going for the fact that this guy definitely is into children, and now that he's seen Arya, I don't know if he recognizes her. I mean,
I don't think so. I think
I
he
don't
would have
think
done
so.
something.
I think he would have done something by thinking he's going to choose her next. And
Yeah.
that's what I get. And that's like, ew.
I imagine that's what's going to happen next episode. She's going to get herself in the position where she's his next whore, and then she'll
use
kill
it
him.
to kill him. Yeah. And then she went back to Jockin. You know, she lied to Jockin. I think Jockin knows she's lying. It was obvious.
Yeah, with all the lying game thing, he's pretty good at perceiving lies.
Perceiving lies, yeah.
So I mean, I think his way of seeing it is he doesn't care if she kills somebody else. It's just everybody has their own method of getting there.
Yep.
As long as people die, he's happy.
Yep. As long as people die, he's happy.
At least as far as we know now. we'll see how that pans out next episode.
We'll see how that pans out. That should be interesting to see that play out. We didn't get any more Cersei this episode, so we don't know how if that's gonna play out. It's gonna happen next episode.
I think we are gonna get that next episode. I'll say why afterwards when we start talking about what we're expecting for next week. But let's go on to the Wall. John got back, had a little
tense moment there.
Yeah, with Alistair.
We didn't know if they were going to let him back in.
It was fun seeing everyone's reaction to the giant too.
Yeah, I know. The giant was like.
So that's how they can get men for the Night's Watch. Just send the giant to King's Landing.
Exactly. Just send the giant to King's Landing.
Just send him and like one member of the Night's Watch, and the member can talk, because the giant I don't think speaks the common tongue or whatever. So just have the Night's Watch guy goes like, "You guys didn't believe all this was real while we were talking about it. Well, look at this."
And we got to see Ollie looking not too happy.
Yeah. I believe he'll probably end up doing something next episode that'll probably be disastrous.
I think so.
I can, whether it's like maybe he'll do something and end up killing John because he thinks that's the right way, or maybe he'll, try to poison the wildlings or something, and then they'll all wake up as whites.
I think he's going to try to do something to one of the wildlings. And we got the one guy there. He told John. He said, "You got a good heart, John. It's going to get us all killed."
Yeah. Yeah. So I think John's got it right. The biggest problem John's facing isn't his own decisions. It's kind of the nearsightedness of everybody around him, except for like Samwell,
Yeah, exactly.
That they're like he's. It's not just that he's being nice and saving these people from a horrible fate. It's everybody he leaves behind just adds to the numbers of the White Walkers. Every number he takes with him adds to their numbers.
Well, the problem is the people in the Night's Watch, they haven't actually seen the White Walkers, so they don't really understand the severity of the threat. In fact, they might not even fully believe it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they haven't experienced. Sam's experienced it. Rob's experienced it. Now a couple of the members who are with Rob experienced it. They know. With
John, not Rob.
Oh yeah, with John.
I'm like, Rob, is he a white now?
He could be a white now. He'll come back as white.
With a wolf head, yeah.
Yeah, with a wolf head. But it's they experienced it, but the people inside the Night's Watch, they haven't experienced it. So it's that's why they're still being told dicks about it. And it's once they experience it, once they have the White Walkers on top of them, then it'll click. They'll be, oh.
Oh, that's why we're screwed now.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's Yeah, they're not accustomed to they're not aware of kind of exactly what's coming for them. They don't realize how severe the situation is. Um, I actually noticed something kind of interesting. I was just thinking about it from last week's episode, which was how quickly what are the one group of wildlings with the scarred faces, the Thens, I believe they're called.
Yeah.
And they had that one Then who was just a total crow hater, just completely unwilling, said anybody who works with them will slit their throats and all stuff. The second the White Walker showed up, it was like all of a sudden he was brothers in arms with Jon.
Yep.
It's just that kind of idea of like that threat is so severe that like these hatreds just disappear.
Right.
It's like, okay, this can't, we can't deal with this now. There's real shit going on.
Yeah, there's real stuff going down. So that was the wall.
Let's talk about next on the notes. It says in the north, but I think we'll save that probably second to last.
I think
it's one of the bigger events. So let's talk a little bit about Dorne.
This was the true conclusion to the Dorne storyline. Again, it didn't like end with like some dramatic event happening. In fact, it's kind of refreshing in Game of Thrones because the Dorne storyline, it wasn't really like this big dramatic thing happening like everybody expected. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of something different for Game of Thrones. Whereas you got this character, this woman, she was like so full of hatred and anger over what happened to Oberyn, her lover, that she was ready to kill this young girl to get her revenge. And then it was like, basically what happened is she came to some kind of understanding or acceptance of what happened. She doesn't like accept what happened to Jaime. You know what? You're probably innocent, of
and
what
his
happened.
Daughter is innocent, yeah.
And his daughter is innocent. And it's like, it really wouldn't be right to take it out on you guys.
The implication, of course, is that, but Cersei is not.
So yeah, the implication is that Cersei is not, and obviously the king there, her brother, doesn't want to doesn't want war with the Lannisters. He doesn't want to plunge the country into war.
I love when they picked up Bronn. Not only did we get another scene with him and the one Sand Snake, which are like a great to see together, those two.
Yeah.
But and I like that he just kind of, it's almost like they're already a married couple. Who am I again? The most beautiful girl in the world.
Yeah. I love that because
whatever you want, honey.
It was like, okay, Bronn can go free under one condition.
Yeah.
The whole time you're thinking in the back of your head, "Ooh, I wonder what this condition is. I wonder what this is." So they bring Bronn out and they tell him, "You're free to go." He's like, "All right, awesome." And then they're like, "But there's one condition." And then the guard like elbows him in the face. That was the condition.
Well, what was great was that he was like, when he showed up, once they said like he was going to be free, he was like, "Oh, pie looks good," or something. And then after he got elbowed, Prince Doran said, "Perhaps soup instead."
Perhaps soup instead, yeah.
So that was great. So it looks
that was your moment of levity.
Yeah.
For the horrible stuff that's gonna bring you down afterwards. That was like, okay, that's your moment of levity. Now we're gonna destroy your soul.
And from that side, it looks like Jaime, Bronn, Marcella, and Trystane are going to be heading back up towards Westeros.
Right.
So I imagine we might see him again in the finale, but it'll probably just be maybe like a final moment with the Sand Snakes, or a final thing where they kind of either say, this isn't over, or it is over. I don't know. It'll just be a brief thing if they show anything.
Yeah, it'll just be a brief thing. Apparently, Trystane is now going to be on the small council.
Where Oberyn was supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least he he learned mercy and forgiveness. So at least that's somebody on the small council that's got a soul.
Yeah, right, really.
So speaking of somebody with a soul or without a soul, let's talk about what happened in the North. So last episode,
yes. What happened in the North?
Last episode, Ramsay said he needed 20 good men. That's all he needed to kind of destroy Stannis' army. And we kind of find out what he meant by that now. They went in overnight and burned down all of their supplies, torched a bunch of their horses, just kind of crippled them in a very vulnerable location, in the snow and, just totally screwed now, basically.
A sneak attack. And this was the impetus for, this was the impetus for Stannis to make a very difficult decision, or to do what he had rejected earlier, which is sacrificing his own daughter to win the war. Because the Lord of Light commanded it. The Lord of Light says he will win the war if he does this, or whatever crazy thing. He's convinced now. I think that event convinced him to do it, because you could see it like that was a sign from the Lord of Light that by rejecting his command to sacrifice his daughter, this calamity befell him, and now he can't ignore it any longer.
Fanaticism is a big theme this season, and the one thing you can give the Lord of Light side of things is that, as fanatic as they are, there actually is real power going on there.
There actually, there's the guy who can't die. There's the curse on Joffrey and Robb.
And then there's the shadow monster.
And there's a shadow. So there is some real magic behind it. There's some real power behind it. But still, I think there's no tiptoeing around it. Stannis is definitely a monster after this. Yeah. No matter what the reason, no matter what the excuse, he is a monster.
See, I think he's a really interesting character, and the way I kind of perceive it is that, and I saw this brought up online, that this is actually something he said in season 2. She had said to him that you will have to abandon or discard everything you hold dear.
Says thousands will die under your command. You will betray your family. You will betray everything you hold dear, to win the war. That was said in season 2. So you're right.
I think what's interesting about Stannis is that he really is trying to do what's right. Like, I don't think he wants to be king because he wants to be king so much as that he believes that him being king saves the world, basically.
Right.
And you could argue that is delusional or something, but I don't think that I don't think there's any implication that, he's doing it out of his own self-interest so much as he's doing it out of what he thinks to be right, what he thinks needs to be done. And that kind of defines Stannis' character. He's kind of like a weird thing when it comes to emotions. I mean, they played up the idea in this episode when he talked to his daughter again and asked her about the book she was reading. And he said, "Why is it called a dance? That doesn't make sense," or something, And she was like, "It's poetic." And well, that tells you, well, of course Stannis wouldn't know what it means. There's no way he'd understand poetry.
Right.
There's no way. That's not who he is. He doesn't understand that. It's like that part of his brain doesn't function, And I think he does genuinely love his daughter, but, he was faced in a situation where he felt, well, this is what I have to do. And because of that, because of the way he is, he was able to kind of shut off everything else and be that. And so, yeah, in a way, he is a monster. I think it's just I don't think it's from intention. It's not greed. It's just that he has this idea of what he needs to do. He's in this fanatical situation, and he's just gonna do it, you know?
The worst part about it is he's doing it based on speculation. He's doing it based on speculation that it will help. He's not certain it will do anything. There was no certainty in that.
I think he is. I think he's certain. I don't think he has real evidence to be certain, but I think he feels certain. I think he fully believes. He's fully drunk the Kool-Aid of the Lord of Light.
Right.
So I think in his mind it's a certainty. But yeah, it was heartbreaking, and not only was she killed, but burned alive.
You heard her screaming.
Yeah.
The whole time, and it was like the most gut-wrenching, difficult to watch scene of the entire season. It was the hardest thing to watch, even though you knew it was coming, you knew it was happening. It wasn't like a shock. It's not like it suddenly happened and you were like, oh my God. This was the shocking moment of season 4, or 5. We're on 5. This was the shocking moment of season 5, but it wasn't because it was unexpected. It was fully expected. It was just even expected. It's so horrible and gut-wrenching to have to sit through.
So the thing about this is that this has not happened in the books. In the books, she stayed in Castle Black. She didn't go on the mission with them, Lady Melisandre, his wife, both of them stayed in Castle Black when he went on this march. But the choice to kill this character did not come from the showrunners. It came directly from George R. R. Martin.
Oh, okay. So George R. R. Martin decided to kill this character.
Yes. Even though she hasn't died yet in the books. So we don't know if that means she is going to die in the books and just in a different way. Maybe while Stannis is away, the mother will give her up and the Red Woman the Red Witch will do her ritual, without his knowledge. Maybe it'll be something along those lines. Or perhaps nothing will happen. Maybe she won't die in the books, and George R. R. Martin just wanted to do something different. Thought it was necessary for the show when it wasn't necessary for the books.
Right. Maybe it's one of those scenes.
But it's an interesting thing to speculate on, because this could very well be like a point of divergence in which, this might be the first thing that is ahead of the books that will still happen in the books.
Right.
This could be the first real spoiler for the books from the show.
Right. This could be. And it's interesting to see what the impact, the aftermath of this is going to be. I'm looking forward to that.
So now I feel like, Stannis has to bring down Ramsay, and then Brienne needs to kill Stannis.
Yeah, and then I think Daenerys just has to ride in with the dragons and take over Westeros at that point, because there is nobody. Interestingly enough,
about the White Walkers already, because she has no idea.
She has no idea. I mean, Daenerys has to kill the White Walkers with their dragons. That's the end game. The dragons are the only things that can kill White Walkers. So we need Daenerys and her dragons to fight the White Walkers. That's the end game. But interesting, IGN posted an article before this episode aired, which said, "Are we running out of people to hate in Game of Thrones?" or something like that. They're like, "There's nobody left to hate." Like, what are you talking about? There's Ramsay Snow.
Every episode, somebody else steps forward to take that mantle.
Yeah. Now there's Stannis. Now we can safely hate Stannis. I mean, there's never a shortage of people to hate. IGN, come on.
And there's plenty of very hateable people that have just faded into the background for now. like Walder Frey.
Right.
Walder Frey is one of the most hateable characters on the show, but we haven't heard anything from him since the episode after the Red Wedding.
Because there's nothing important like happening with this guy. You know, he's not doing anything.
There's got to be something that happens to him, or at least I hope so. Not just because he deserves it, but in the episode after the Red Wedding, there was a scene where Bran was telling a ghost story about a man who invited guests into his castle and fed them bread and gave them salt, and then killed them, and how like he was turned into a rat that was forced to, like, you know, his whole family was, and he was forced to eat only his own children and stuff.
Yes, that story was told by Bran to underscore the concept, because a lot of people watching the show didn't understand this concept that the wedding in Westeros, that is a sacred thing. You would never expect an ambush at a wedding, because to do something like that is so horrible that the gods will strike you, you know, will condemn you fully for that. As far as the gods are concerned, if you did something underhand like that, you are completely screwed. You are done for. And so there was no expectation that anything would happen at the Red Wedding.
Because he had served his guests bread and salt, and that was such an important thing that was underscored in the books, that in the show they just kind of did it through a ghost story. I really hope that pays off, that there is something to that. Maybe not necessarily a direct action of gods, but that he gets a truly horrible and abysmal end that kind of underlines that idea, you know?
Right. Yeah, definitely. But there's just nothing happening with Walder Frey at the moment that would make it interesting. He's not.
We haven't seen him since season 3.
He's not doing anything interesting to the plot. Nobody involved in the plot cares about him at this point. I mean,
I think we might see him next season, because he is the new Lord of the Riverlands, which is where the Tullys ruled before.
Right.
So with everything going on, and, you know, with the North and stuff, and the Riverlands being kind of the neck between the North and the South, I could see it eventually coming back into play. A lot of the stuff that George R. R. Martin has set up in the past, he's kind of known for setting things up, maybe moving a chess piece aside where you don't see it for a while, but it's not gone. It's just out of sight for that bit until it has another part to play.
Right, definitely.
So I think he'll come back into play, and I think that next season might be a good time for something like that to happen.
He very well could.
But we'll have to see. So let's get on to the last location of this episode. Meereen, Daenerys, the fighting pits.
Yes, the fighting pits. So Ser Jorah had his big chance to impress Daenerys in the fighting pits. And Daenerys is like really not enjoying it at all. She didn't want this in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
She's only allowing it because it was suggested that, you know, this will make people happy and whatever. And after all the stuff with the Sons of the Harpy, she's like, she just wants the citizens to be happy and not have to deal with all that crap. And so even though she hates it, she's allowing it. And Ser Jorah thinks that, you know, going in there and winning in the fighting pits will impress her enough for her to take him back. I actually don't know what he's thinking with this. I mean, killing people doesn't impress Daenerys, but
I think it's more his willingness to die for her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much of it right now is him actually desperately trying to get back with her, and more of him just trying to show that he has no ill will towards her, and he still sees her as his queen, and that, you know, like, he'll always be willing to die. I think it's almost like he just wants her to know that more than he wants necessarily himself to be in a better position.
Right, maybe.
Because he's
Yeah,
got
that's true.
grayscale, so he knows he's doomed anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, but he knows he's doomed. So he's going to go out there on a suicide mission.
He just wants to be there for her, whether she likes him or not. She wants her to know his feelings, and
right.
rather than necessarily reciprocate them.
Right, that makes sense.
But this led to an assassination attempt that Jorah actually foiled.
Yep.
With a nice little spear throw.
they actually almost got to her if Jorah didn't. And this was the big ambush. It was I knew it was a setup the whole time. I was like, they were gonna have this big fight. I'm like, that's the setup for where the Sons of the Harpy are gonna make their big attack. They're gonna go for, because think about it. If you're like you're a terrorist group, terrorist organization, you're going to strike at some big major, like a major sporting event, where there's going to be tons of people, the Queen's going to be there. Just makes sense. So I knew this was going to be a setup for an ambush, but it was like so intense because they were this close to finishing everybody off. They were surrounded. They were done. I'm like, oh. And then
hold on. Before we get to what ended up happening, I'm going to say that the biggest surprise for me in this whole episode, perhaps the whole season, is who wasn't involved in this plot.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The guy
I thought his daughter, the guy she's marrying,
I thought he was behind it. I thought he was going to be like the leader of the Sons of the Harpy when all was said and done. I thought he was going to be like the big guy. No, they knife him and kill him, and then it's obvious he wasn't involved with them at all. I'm like, did not see that coming. So
he also had a great moment with Tyrion where he was like kind of explaining his philosophy on things, and Tyrion said, "My father would have liked you."
Yeah, my father would have liked you. Obviously, Tyrion thought he was a douchebag, and he was.
Let's talk about what happened then. How Dany how Dany managed to survive.
Well, first I want to say I was disappointed. We still don't know who's behind the Sons of the Harpy at this point. I thought we were going to get like some reveal about that this episode, especially since they had them surrounded. Oh, I thought we were going to finally find out who's behind this, what their motives are or their end game.
Well, they were killing the other rich people, the other
they were killing the other rich people,
as well as the poor and trying to go for the queen. So yeah, it was makes it a little bit more confusing, the whole situation.
Yeah, because it seems like they're indiscriminately killing now. So I'm not sure what their goal is or what their political beliefs are here. It's a little confusing. So I was hoping to get more clarification about who they are and what they're about, but we didn't get that. But what we did get was Drogon coming in and kicking the shit out of them.
So don't you touch my mama.
Don't you touch my mama. Just setting that to be them. They were probably feeling like so great. They had the queen surrounded. They were finally going to kill off the queen and her supporters, and they were going to win. This huge ass dragon comes out of nowhere, starts setting everybody on fire. They cannot fight it off.
Drogon was in there kicking ass, taking names.
And Daenerys finally connected with him. She finally got to a point where she wasn't afraid of him.
Yeah.
And she rode him, and she flew on her dragon for the first time. And that was such a great moment in the series.
Completely abandoning all her friends.
Completely, yeah. Completely. Bye, I'm going to go fly this dragon now.
So where do you think she's going? Do you think she is just escaping? Or do you think she's going to free the other dragons?
I think she's just escaping for right now. but I thought that was so great because that was Daenerys like embracing her Targaryen heritage.
Well, there was a great
Uh,
moment before Drogon showed up where she was holding her interpreter's hand, or well, not really her interpreter because she speaks Valyrian, but her colleague or her friend or whatever, and then like she closed her eyes, and that's when the roar happened.
and that's when because she was like accepting death at that point, I think.
Yeah, it could be seen as that, or it could be that she almost like it's almost like she
Called
reached
out to
out.
him. That's
Yeah,
what I thought at first too. I thought she's calling out to her
it
dragon.
would be too fast. He would have had to have already been there, you
Yeah,
know.
you would have
But
already
it
been
gave
there.
that feeling.
It gave that feeling. But that was so cool. And I'm like, well, that's why you don't mess with Targaryen, because Targaryens have dragons. And if you learned anything from the story of Aegon the Conqueror, it's that no matter how many numbers you have, or no matter how much you think you've won, he, they Targaryens have dragons, and the dragons are going to burn you to ash, and you have not won anything.
Her dragons are still small compared to what Aegon's were.
Yep, that's true
They
too.
mentioned his largest dragon. I mean, well, we saw the dragon skull of
Yeah,
one
we
of the
saw.
large ones in King's Landing in the first season.
Oh yeah, her dragons are just teenagers. They're still
Yeah.
growing. Yeah, they're going to get much bigger than that, and it's like crazy.
So yeah, that was awesome. Let's see. That pretty much covers the events of the episode. We got one episode left this season. The title of the episode is, let's see, where is it here? Mother's Mercy.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Mother's Mercy.
usually these titles have like dual meanings. In this episode, the Dance of Dragons, of course, there was the actual dragon coming and all of that, but there was also a constant reference to the book that Serene was reading by the same name. So there's kind of that, there was the Kill the Boy episode, which had kind of double meanings. And
the story that she was talking about was also kind of interesting. Apparently, it was like a civil war between the Targaryens.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to read that story. I'm sure that's probably in the big, like, encyclopedia George R. R. Martin just released, the World of Ice and Fire book.
It could be, yeah. I think some of that might be. He's written a few things. He wrote. I know he's recollecting. He did a bunch of novellas called like The Adventures of Dunk and Egg.
Yep, those are.
And he's re-releasing that as one big book. And that's about. At first I thought it was about Aegon the Conqueror, but it's not. It's about. It's actually the guy at the Night's Watch that just died not too long ago. The Targaryen. It's his brother.
Oh, it's you're right. Dunk. Now that I think about Dunk and Egg, because his brother was Aegon, and he called him Egg.
Yeah,
Egg was his nickname.
And Dunk was the hedge knight. It was like his personal knight.
Dunk was his personal knight. So okay. Oh, that's cool.
So they're going to release that. That's going to be something I'm definitely going to check out. I try to watch out on some of the books for spoilers and stuff, but something like this is all background.
Yeah, it's all background.
I'm interested in reading that.
I read a lot of like the histories of Westeros and stuff because it's all backstory to what's happening. So there's no spoilers to anything in the books or anything that's going to happen in the show. So it's safe to go and read all that background material. And it's interesting in its own right. It makes fascinating, good stories by itself. And I think definitely like to see like some of this stuff fleshed out more, like the war with the Mad King, stuff like that. I would love to see that like more fleshed out into like its own novel or something.
maybe if the producers get a little gun shy about getting too far ahead of the books, they'll do like a Spartacus style Gods of the Arena type thing.
Yeah, maybe.
So back to the next episode, Mother's Mercy. Now there's multiple ways that this can be kind of construed or played out. One is that when they say the mother's mercy, they're talking about the mother who is one of the 7 gods of the King's Landing, or Big and King's Landing. When they talk about the 7, the mother is one of the 7. And mother's mercy is a phrase that was used by the High Sparrow as for, like, if you confess, you might be given the mother's mercy.
So this is obviously the big focal point. It's obviously going to be the trial with Marjorie and Cersei and what happens there. That's obviously going to be a big thing this next episode.
It's just going to be straight Law and Order King's Landing.
Oh, yeah. It's even going to have the guy from Law and Order in it. And it's got the lawyer.
It's gonna be all in King's Landing. Cases of incest are considered especially heinous. The special squad that deals with these cases is known as the Faith Militant. These are their stories. Dun dun. A lot of walk and talk. With prosecutors walking with the cops. But that's going to be the primary story, I'm sure. That's like where the title comes from. But there's lots of other meanings that can come into that. I mean, obviously, Daenerys is known as the mother of dragons.
Yeah.
And she just kind of reunited with Drogon, who is kind of her wild card child. And she enslaved the other dragons because of what Drogon's actions. But now she's back with Drogon, so perhaps this can also imply that this is her moment of getting back with the rest of her children, you know?
Yeah, reconnecting. I think she's no longer afraid of her dragons. I think that moment showed that she's finally not afraid, so she's not going to have to enslave them any longer.
So I think we're going to kind of start to see the next direction for Daenerys' story will start to get shaped this episode. I think we'll, maybe, I don't know. It might be too soon for her to start to sail off for Westeros, but I think we might see her do something harsh in retaliation to the what the Sons of the Harpies just did.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think we'll have something like that, It could also imply another meaning for Mother's Mercy, besides being the mother of dragons. All of the kind of poor people in the city, remember, they call her Misha, which means mother.
Yep.
So there's that side too. So there's lots of things it can play into. Usually there's a lot of different kind of things going on there. It could also be seen as, the Faceless Men consider the 7 as well as all the old gods, all of those to be part of one god called the Many-Faced God.
Yep.
And we know that the Faceless Men give mercy to people. Like, that's what they call it when they kill them,
Right.
To take their faces and stuff. So there's that kind of possibility there too, that it could be in relation to something that's going to happen in that storyline, So it'll be interesting to see exactly what plays out. Do you have any, based on what happened in last night's episode, do you have any kind of predictions what you think is going to go down next week?
I think Cersei and Marjorie are going to get sentenced in the trial, get unpleasant sentences. I think Jaime is going to arrive just in time to try and save Cersei. I think Daenerys will finally find out who is behind the Sons of the Harpy. I think we'll probably have Daenerys confront him or her, as the case may be. Who knows? Could be any gender. I think we are going to definitely see Arya confront this man who is on her list.
Meryn Trent.
Trent. Oh, Trent. Okay, thank you. We're going to see her confront Meryn this episode and cross a name off her list. I think she's going to be successful. I think that's going to cause problems with Jaqen and the House of Black and White. I think that's going to cause her problems there, though. I think Ollie is going to do something terrible to the wildlings at the wall and cause a lot of problems. And that's about it.
I wonder if Jon Snow is safe, if he doesn't somehow get killed in the events of what Ollie's going to probably end up doing.
Jeez,
I wonder if Jon Snow is going to have to behead Ollie.
Maybe. That's gonna
because that would be a kind of season-ending moment. The whole kind of like, this is the way the Starks do things. Because remember, he cut off the one guy's head when he...
I don't know. Are we going to murder a child 2 episodes in a row?
Very well could. I mean, well, think about Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken. We had Sansa raped, and then The Gift, we had, what's her name, almost get raped.
We hit almost. That's the key word. Almost get raped. I was like, are we doing a rape twice in a row? No, we're not. Thank goodness.
But they could do something. They could play with that too. They could do it where he's going to cut off his head and then something happens, or
right. Yeah, definitely.
And that changes. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go. It's kind of, I think this episode kind of finally for good broke that, season 9 is where it's at kind of philosophy with Game of Thrones.
Right.
Our episode 9,
I don't know if we're going to get like that shocking, oh my God moment this season. I don't know.
I think it's fair now that it could happen. Not necessarily that it will, but that it could.
Right.
Because, you could really read into the structure before. It was every season went to episode 9. That was the big event. Episode 10 was like closure. Last season, episode 8 was arguably just as big of a deal as episode 9. Personally, I thought it was even better, a bigger episode for me.
Right.
This season, I think episode 8 is undeniably the huge event episode. I mean, Daenerys riding a dragon is badass and all, but this huge ass battle with the White Walkers was big, Yeah,
that was the big event of this season, I think. That was the White Walker battle was the big event for this season. Hands down. Because
of that, because seems like almost like an intentional break from this structure where people had just expected the 9th episode would be the big one. I think that puts episode 10 as like the kind of closure and setup episode in a state of like instability, and that it could pretty much, I don't have necessarily expectations that it's going to stay an episode about closure and setup.
Well, yeah,
something else.
Well, right now there is absolutely zero closure on any of the plot lines.
Yeah.
So you can't have episode 10 now be a closure episode because there is no closure.
Yeah. So I think we could be in store for a shocking kind of final scene or something. I don't know if we will, but we could. I mean, it's possible now. I'm kind of, I dread, what I feel like might be coming in this season, and I'm hoping it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, I could see it happening this season that we, lose an important character. So,
definitely.
So, what else? I believe that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else to say?
No, that's pretty much it.
So we'll talk again next week after we watch the season 5 finale of Game of Thrones, Mother's Mercy. Until then, thank you everybody for watching. My name is Tyson. I am the editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast. Joining me today was Will Roerig. He is the news director at TV Enthusiast. You can check out our website, enthusiast.com, which finally has the back end back. So it's been up since like early last week, I believe, but we haven't been able to post anything new. Well, now the back end's back up, so we can start finally posting to the site, and that's something I'm going to be doing a lot of tonight. So there might be a ton of posts showing up around the time this one does. So yeah, I know Kat's anxious too to get some of her articles she had up, so look forward to that. No more May 19th is the most recent article on the site.
Yeah, yay.
So, yeah, check out TVEnthusiast.com if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are watching this on the site, then check out our YouTube channel on YouTube, TV Enthusiast. I believe it's TVEnthusiast.tv or something. You can just click on the video and click the YouTube button, and it'll open it up there, and then you can get to our stuff. Yeah, we have all of these Game of Thrones discussions on there. We have a discussion on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Cinematic Universe, an episode of Better Call Saul. All of our back podcasts. I think I still have one I need to put up there, our most recent one. Pretty much everything's up there. So, yeah, go there, check it out. Soon we're going to start covering Hannibal on there as well. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.